On the day we won the project bid, my girlfriend wanted to boost her ex's performance record, so she suggested I add his name to my hard-earned proposal, saying it would help me lighten my load. I just laughed instead of getting mad. I gifted her ex the proposal I'd been working on for 6 months. Adding a name wasn't enough. From now on, he's the sole person in charge of the project. For a moment, everyone thought I was crazy, but no one knew. I was the only one who actually knew the technology behind the proposal. Without me, the plan was just a house of cards, ready to collapse. Soon, my girlfriend would default and end up in debt. "Oh, Lucas, finally you're here. The bidding's over. I couldn't find you anywhere, so I did the presentation for you. Hope you're not mad, right?" Oliver, all innocent, glanced at me with wide eyes, while Tiffany, the company president, shot me a disapproving look, saying sarcastically, "Lucas, did you even check the time? On such an important day, how could you be late? Fine. Now that you're here, add Oliver's name to the proposal, so he can work on the project with you. We don't need more slip-ups from you." Tiffany tossed my proposal on the table, as if it was worthless. I just gave a wry smile. I was actually at the venue early, until Tiffany called, demanding I return to the office for urgent work. Worried, I rushed back, only to find everything perfectly normal. No issues whatsoever. By the time I drove back, Oliver was already showcasing my proposal on stage. Tiffany had signed the contract, introducing Oliver as if he led the project. That's when it hit me. Tiffany lied to get me out of the picture, to share my credit with Oliver, her former love. Matching my silence with impatience, Tiffany rolled her eyes. "Lucas, what's with the attitude? If Oliver hadn't vouched for you, your tardiness would have cost us the project. I would have fired you by now. Adding a name? Consider yourself lucky." Tiffany's hand still clung to Oliver's arm, ignoring my growing frustration. The bidding was for a significant industry project, with a whopping $50 million profit, matching our previous annual revenue. For this, I braved storms and heat, covered every inch of the city, even fainted from heat stroke, but still worked on. While Oliver stayed in the AC playing video games, I felt a chill run through my veins. When Tiffany wanted to start a business, I ditched a well-paying job, invested all my savings to support her dream. Despite her lack of skills and connections, I carried the burden, just because Oliver was her first love. His mere recital of my well-crafted proposal made him the spotlight's hero. Feigning innocence, Oliver said, "Oh, Lucas, don't get mad. I'm just a newcomer. Your hard work deserves all the credit. I just wanted to help because you weren't around. No name needed." Tiffany praised him even more. "Oliver, don't be modest. You've got great experience. Way better than Lucas's unorthodox ways." I almost laughed. I knew Oliver's resume was fake. Only Tiffany saw him as a prized idol, shielding him from even a hint of adversity. Seeing me stifling a laugh, Tiffany frowned, belittling me further. "Lucas, you have no right to laugh. Achieved a little and suddenly forgot your roots? Add Oliver's name, or I'll bring in someone more capable." Under Tiffany's harsh criticism, I felt torn. Tiffany seemed to forget. Those early years, alone, it was me who supported the business. Now, with a big breakthrough, she only wanted to replace me with her cherished ex. Taking a deep breath, I walked towards Oliver. Colleagues grabbed their phones, ready for drama. But in front of Oliver, I stopped. With a smile, I crossed out my name. Adding a name isn't enough. The project is now all yours. Onlookers were stunned. Some even dropped their phones. Everyone knew my reputation for hard work. This project's $50 million profit was huge. Most assumed I was mocking Tiffany's choice. Tiffany recovered, thinking I was bluffing. Angrily, she asked, "Lucas, what are you doing? I am the president of the company. You can't even handle a few words now? In front of all these people, are you trying to rebel or what?" I watched Tiffany, who was fuming, and just found it all ironic. She's actually mad? I willingly gave up the project lead position. Shouldn't she be happier? I mean, it lets Oliver, her little sweetheart, stick around her openly. Isn't that what she's after? Oliver, standing nearby, looked at the project plan with greed in his eyes but still put on this fake humility, saying, "Oh goodness, Lucas, are you upset? I just wanted to help. I had no plans to replace you. Everyone knows you're a company veteran. If I offended you, I'll resign right now." Seeing Oliver's phony act, I couldn't help but chuckle to myself. Talking about resigning while clutching onto my project plan as if afraid the money might slip out. I held back my disdain and casually grabbed Oliver's arm, chuckling, "Oliver, what are you talking about? You're overthinking this. I'm just relieved you can help out. Why would I be angry? I'm getting old, can't handle late nights. You're the best person for this project lead." Tiffany raised an eyebrow, giving me a suspicious glance, trying to figure out if I was showing any displeasure. But finding none, she just sneered. Arrogantly, she said, "Oliver, just take it. No need to feel awkward. If it weren't for you, this project would have flopped. You deserve it. With your skills, you'd be a project lead sooner or later anyway." With Tiffany's endorsement, Oliver was practically jumping for joy, and Tiffany gazed at him lovingly. Seeing this, I couldn't help but scoff. Tiffany's head over heels since bringing Oliver on board. All she thinks about is romance, neglecting the company's actual progress. She doesn't even realize this project isn't a gold mine but a hot potato. The client is a huge industry player with strict demands. They picked my proposal because of the new tech I mentioned, which has cutting-edge efficiency. Even if Oliver does take over my proposal as project lead, it's pointless. Without the technology one came up with, the plans just talk pie in the sky. If Tiffany screws up, the industry giant would easily bankrupt her with their power. While Tiffany noticed my silence and that I handed over the project, she seemed a bit uneasy, coughing and saying, "All right, since we won the bid, I won't hold your tardiness against you. We have a company dinner later to celebrate Oliver. You can join us if you want, Lucas." Tiffany raised her chin like she was granting me a massive favor. I was nearly amused by her attitude. Everyone knows I was the main contributor to the proposal, yet I need her permission to join the celebration dinner? Seriously? Why should I waste my time pretending with these fools? Just as I was about to decline, Oliver suddenly seemed to remember something. He acted all confused and surprised. "Oh, I forgot. The client asked me to deliver the proposal materials. Maybe you guys should go ahead to the dinner without me. It's no big deal if I miss it." I was speechless. Even a fool could see Oliver was just fishing for Tiffany's affection. Sure enough, Tiffany immediately softened, urgently pulling Oliver's hand. "Oliver, you're the star of this project. It wouldn't be meaningful without you at dinner. You've worked hard, you should treat yourself. Let someone else handle those errands." With that, Tiffany looked at me disdainfully. "Why are you standing around? No awareness at all, even after all these years here. Go deliver the materials to the client. If you're late, don't bother coming back to see me." I couldn't help but chuckle cynically at Tiffany's double standards. She flips quicker than a switch. Like I care about that dinner anyway. And with Tiffany backing him up, Oliver grew more smug, trying to play the victim. "Lucas, I'm really sorry, but could you handle this for me? Once everything's settled, I'll..." Before Oliver could finish, I tore the materials in half and dropped my ID badge on the floor. In the shocked silence, I said, "Cut the act. I'm not fooling around like Tiffany. I won't waste my time for you." Seeing the torn materials, Oliver was dumbstruck, and so was Tiffany. She took a moment to react and started yelling, "Lucas, are you insane? I've turned a blind eye to you targeting Oliver, but now you're quitting to threaten me?" I just shrugged, smirking. "Don't flatter yourself. Why would I be jealous of a nobody? And don't lecture me. I've resigned. You have no right to yell at me." Tiffany's face turned beet red, and she tried to say something, but I was done. I walked away, not wanting to be tangled up with them anymore. As I returned to my office to pack my things, a diamond ring in the drawer caught my eye. It was the engagement ring I'd prepared ahead of time. My plan was to propose to Tiffany once the deal was sealed. But now, guess that's not happening. Once upon a time, Tiffany wasn't as cold and heartless as she is now. She was full of hope, like a little ray of sunshine, always warming me up. Even when starting a business was tough and stressful, Tiffany was by my side. In the freezing winter, with temperatures below 10 degrees, she would wait with me for clients without a single complaint. And after we succeeded, she'd happily enjoy some hot instant noodles with me. As the company grew, I felt like I owed her for those years, so I gave Tiffany all the company shares, making her the president. But she forgot our promises. She became more petty and unreasonable, even brazenly bringing Oliver, her first love, into the company, acting like they were picking up where they left off. Thinking about it, I sighed deeply. Maybe I should have known all along that Tiffany never got over Oliver. There was never a place for me in her heart. It was just my wishful thinking. Just as I was about to leave, Tiffany's voice rang in my ear. "Oh, weren't you just being so high and mighty, saying you wanted to quit? What now? Regret it and admit you were wrong." I turned to see Tiffany and Oliver standing behind me, and my coworkers had all noticed and were watching too. Oliver, pulling on Tiffany's sleeve, pretended to speak for me. "Tiffany, Lucas must know he was wrong. Look, he's got a ring in his hand. He must have bought it for you to propose." Seeing the ring, Tiffany was momentarily stunned, then cleared her throat and haughtily said, "So that's why you've been acting weird today? You're proposing. Well, since you're being sincere, I'll reluctantly say yes." Tiffany extended her hand, signaling me to put the ring on her. But the next moment, I frowned and tossed the ring into the trash. "Propose to you? Don't flatter yourself too much." Ignoring Tiffany's shocked expression, I grabbed my things and walked out of the company without looking back, even as I could hear Tiffany cursing me from behind. Back home, I started packing my stuff, ready to end things with Tiffany for good. But before I could finish, Tiffany barged in furiously, looking like an angry rabbit, and screamed at me. "Lucas, did you lose your mind today? Just because I said a few things, is that enough for you to act crazy and humiliate me in front of the entire company?" Listening to Tiffany's condescending tone just made me speechless. She still didn't realize her mistake. She thought I was the one who embarrassed her. It was hopeless. Before I could respond, Oliver stood behind her and pretended to speak up. "Lucas, I've always admired you, but today I've got to be fair. Tiffany's a woman after all, and she's sensitive. By throwing the ring, how can you expect her to face the office again? If I had the chance to propose to someone as amazing as Tiffany, I'd do anything." Hearing Oliver's sycophantic tone almost made me laugh. "Showing your loyalty, are you?" Sure enough, before I could say anything, Tiffany gave me a vicious look and said with increasing arrogance, "See, Lucas, you've changed and not for the better. If this is how you want it, we're done." Her threat didn't affect me. This wasn't the first time she used breaking up as leverage. Ever since Oliver reappeared, every major argument led to a breakup threat. Back then, I loved her so much, I always compromised, hoping she'd eventually come back to me. Looking back, I must have been out of my mind. Why fight for someone who never truly cared? After a while, Tiffany thought I'd caved like before, flipping her hair with smug satisfaction. "Of course, I don't have to break up with you, as long as you apologize to Oliver." I cut in before she could finish. "No need for that. I agree to the breakup." Hearing this, Tiffany's eyes widened in disbelief, speechless. Next to her, Oliver was thrilled, trying to hide his joy, pretending to be concerned. "Whoa, Lucas, don't be impulsive. You can't joke about breaking up after all those years together. It's been tough going from college to now." Watching their little performance made me feel sick. As I picked up my luggage, Tiffany realized I wasn't kidding. She pointed at me, shouting, "Fine. Break up then. Who needs you? Just go and never come back." Oliver quickly grabbed me, pretending to advise me, "Lucas, think it through. If you break up with Tiffany, what will you do? Tiffany's the head of a big company now, and she just started working with the industry leader. She could ruin you with a word." I get it. Oliver was provoking her to urge her to crush me completely. True enough, Tiffany, proud with hands on her hips, said, "Some people really think they're important. Even a plan you couldn't figure out, Oliver wrapped up in a day. When this project takes off, we're talking billions. The company's going public. What good are you for me? Seeing Tiffany acting all smug, I couldn't help but scoff. Company going public? More like waiting for bankruptcy. Without the tech I've got, there's no way their plan is gonna work. It won't be long before they realize the problem. Then they'll sue for 10 times the damages, sending her to the cleaners. Before I could say anything, Tiffany's phone suddenly rang. She glanced at it, raised an eyebrow at me in a challenging way, and smirked. Look, they're already calling. Oh, my money's just rolling in, and I can't stop it even if I wanted to. Then Tiffany put the call on speaker, probably to show off. But the next moment, the person on the line started yelling. What kind of crappy plan is this? It's totally useless. If it's not implemented in 3 days, expect your company to go under. Hearing the angry rant, Tiffany was stunned, disbelief written all over her face. Can't implement the plan? No way. Mike, is there some kind of misunderstanding here? Watching Tiffany's confused expression, I couldn't help but laugh to myself. She really was all about Oliver and didn't even care about the plan's details. That day at the meeting, Oliver's plan was detailed, but neither they nor the company mastered the tech because it was a new patent I had just bought. It was my own, and without my involvement in implementation, it was never going to hit those efficiencies or results. Meanwhile, Mike on the line, being a big industry player, wasn't going to put up with nonsense. He snapped, enough chatter. One more thing. If your plan can't be done, we're meeting in court in 3 days. With that, Mike simply hung up the phone, leaving Tiffany standing there, still shocked and speechless. Seeing this, I couldn't resist taunting, weren't you about to go public? What now? You didn't even notice the issues with the plan? Still daydreaming about soaring high? Open those eyes of yours, this tech isn't even public yet. It's still in the experimental patent phase. I was waiting for the tech to stabilize before surprising you with it at the proposal. But you decided to do your own thing and cut me out. You just wait for that lawsuit. With that, before Tiffany could say anything, I turned to leave. But then Tiffany suddenly grabbed me. She looked furious, ready to explode, and demanded, Lucas, you did this on purpose. The company trained you for so long. Not only do you lack gratitude, but you're also trying to ruin us. Are you doing right by the company or me? Listening to Tiffany's guilt-tripping accusations, I felt speechless. I'd already quit, but she's still stuck on me. I rolled my eyes at her, retorting, Tiffany, did you lose your mind when you started dating? I've already quit. You signed off on all my work handover documents. No matter what, I have no obligation to tell you anything. Hearing this, Tiffany knew she was in the wrong, but she started acting up, getting angry and unreasonable. She insisted, I don't care, you can't just walk away. The moment you left, the company ran into this mess. The plan was drafted by you, you can't walk away from this. To me, it's like you're just jealous of Oliver and playing games to get back at us. If this project fails, you'll cover the whole debt. Hearing Tiffany's unreasonable demands, I laughed out of rage. I've left the company, and she still wants to dump this on me. Everything good belongs to her, and I'm just the scapegoat? Thinking about it, I shot back, the plan's Oliver's responsibility. Now there's a problem and you're coming to me instead of him? Hearing this, Tiffany was speechless, but the thought of $1 billion debt made her stubbornly insist. No matter what, this plan was originally yours. Now there's trouble and you left maliciously, you must handle this and hand over the patent tech. Or else, when you look for a job later, think about how your background checks will turn out. Listening to Tiffany's blatant threats, I wasn't fazed. I calmly pulled out my patent report, chuckling. Is that right? This tech was researched and developed under my personal name, with no ties to the company at all. What grounds do you have to order me around? If you're unhappy, feel free to sue me. With that, Tiffany's expression turned as dark as it could be. Tiffany gave a cold laugh, pulling out a document from her bag and slamming it on the table. No grounds. Huh? Take a good look at this. I glanced and saw a confidentiality agreement I barely remembered. Back then the company was just starting. I was focused on work, didn't think much about it, and assumed Tiffany and I were inseparable. But now it seemed Tiffany had planned this all along. Seeing my silence, Tiffany became even cockier, folding her arms like she had me cornered. It's all black and white. As long as you're job hunting, you can't engage in anything related to the company's businesses. Otherwise, you'll owe us the penalty. That's $500,000, not a penny less. Seeing this ridiculous demand made me laugh in disbelief. I'd already broken up with her, yet she was still trying to squeeze the last bit of value out of me. Don't push it, Tiffany. I was fuming, wanting nothing more than to strangle this cold-hearted snake. Just then, Oliver stepped in, feigning morality. Lucas, a man needs to have a conscience. Tiffany's nurtured you for so long. Leaving without a word doesn't seem right. With a company like this, running off after issues doesn't add up. I'd say more trouble, less gain. Just hand it over or else you won't find work later on. Listening to Oliver, I laughed in exasperation. Tiffany nurturing me? I was the one who introduced her into the industry, hooked her up with resources. Without me, how could she have gotten this far? Not being grateful I could overlook, but trying to turn the tables? Raising a dog would have been better. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself down. Sure thing, I said with a smile, my tone eerily calm. Tiffany and Oliver exchanged glances, a flicker of surprise in their eyes. I guess they didn't expect me to agree so easily. That's more like it. At least you know what's good for you. Tiffany thought she'd won, smugly slapping the agreement on the table, strutting like a peacock boasting its victory. But I drawled out, letting my eyes drift between them before finally settling on Tiffany. I have a condition. Tiffany's impatience flared, a frown creasing her brow. What condition? Spit it out, she snapped. Leisurely, I fished my phone out of my pocket, opened a document, and handed it to Tiffany. This is a list of all your expenditures over the years, totaling $847,000. How do you plan to pay this back? Tiffany had been so smug until she caught sight of the figure on the screen. Her face turned ghostly white. $800,000? You've got to be kidding me. That's impossible. She shrieked, her voice sharp and cutting. I stared at her coldly, my tone devoid of warmth. You know whether I'm crazy or not. See for yourself what these are. I pointed to the expenses on the screen one by one. 18 Chanel bags, 8 sets of Cartier jewelry, a full Dior perfume collection, all luxury items bought with my money. And Oliver, the watches and sports cars you got him, all from my savings. Not to mention, you even embezzled company funds to buy him an apartment to sneak around with. Do I have to pay for your affair too? With each thing I mentioned, Tiffany's face grew darker. By the end, she was ashen, speechless. I kept my glare icy and piercing. What's wrong? Cat got your tongue? Do you feel guilty now? You didn't think about the consequences when you did all that. Tiffany opened her mouth, trying to argue, but nothing came out because every word I spoke was the truth. She stuttered, unable to form a coherent sentence. Can't cough up the money? I sneered, bluntly exposing her predicament. Makes sense, you spent it all on Oliver. Were you hoping this project would make you a fortune? Too bad. I deliberately dragged out, my gaze mocking. You'll never see that day. You'll breach the contract, and the company will lose everything. What will you pay me back with? Hearing this, Tiffany was fuming, but she couldn't do anything about it. Honestly, I was done with the argument. I'll give you a day to pay me back, I said coldly, or we'll see each other in court. After a moment, Tiffany bit her lip, struggling to speak. I don't have that much cash right now. Can you give me more time? But I already figured she'd use that excuse. I pointed at her house and chuckled. Then mortgage your house and car to me. At this, Tiffany's eyes widened in disbelief. You're taking advantage of my plight. My house alone is worth $300,000, but I just shrugged indifferently. Call it what you will. If I don't see the money tomorrow, expect a lawyer's letter. With that, I turned and left, while Tiffany stood there, trembling with fury at my retreating back. Lucas, just you wait. I won't let you get away with this, she growled, her eyes burning with malice and hatred. She had more to say, but I was already over this confrontation. I walked away, her eyes boring into me like daggers. Tiffany wasn't one to easily let things slide, and by nightfall my phone was blowing up. I had just finished getting ready for bed when I realized several business partners and longtime friends had blocked or deleted me. I was puzzled until a text from Tiffany popped up, taunting me to check the internet. When I did, I froze, stunned into silence. Tiffany had put me on blast as a headline on the news. She issued a public statement as the company head, saying everything that happened was a scheme I orchestrated. She claimed I was the project manager who, out of jealousy, retaliated against Oliver, stealing company tech out of spite, causing the project to halt and incurring huge losses. She added I'd been fired and promised to pursue legal action. The comments below the article were brutal. Damn, because of scum like this, it's harder for us to find jobs. Yeah, catch this jerk, and I'll tear them a new one. This Lucas is a piece of work. His wife treated him well, but he bit the hand that fed him. You never know what people are really like. He's the type to be thrown in jail. Our society should boycott him. Seeing all the calls to cancel me, I was at a loss. Tiffany truly twisted the facts. Yeah, she snatched my project, let Oliver take charge, and tried to seize my patents. Now, she flipped it, accusing me of theft to pressure me into surrendering my tech. But I wasn't fazed by these tactics. In fact, I found it almost amusing. After all, I wasn't the one panicking. Without the tech in 3 days, her company would crash. Sure enough, later that night, there was a frantic knock at my door. I opened it to find Oliver there, still nursing some obvious injuries but with a smug look, like he already won. Seeing me staring at the headline, he sneered arrogantly, "Hey Lucas, you don't look so good. Online hate getting to you?" I glared back at him coldly. In a cold voice, I asked, "What do you really want? Money or something else?" Hearing this, Oliver just chuckled, nodded, and said, "Talking to someone smart is refreshing. I won't waste words with you. Hand over your security system, and I'll help clear your name." He paused, his tone sinister as he threatened, "Otherwise, just wait to be publicly shamed and ruined." Faced with Oliver's so-called offer of clearing my name, I frowned and asked in confusion, "Things have already happened. Someone has to take the fall. Are you really that kind-hearted to let go of everything you've gained?" Oliver just sneered dismissively, a cold glint in his eyes. "Who said I'm taking the fall for you? There's still Tiffany, right? She's the company president. She approved everything from the start. If anything goes wrong, it's her responsibility. All I need to do is manipulate things a bit, and she won't be able to explain herself no matter what." Hearing Oliver's explanation, I felt a jolt of shock. This guy is ruthless, even to his own people. My mind raced, and I casually suggested, "Tiffany's been so good to you. She loves you. Isn't it wrong to betray her like this?" But Oliver just waved his hand carelessly. "Doesn't matter. Tiffany's just a love-struck fool. A pawn. Just playing around with her. Even spending another second with her disgusts me. Once I have the money, I can find any woman I want." He showed a flash of disgust in his eyes before impatiently urging me, "Have you decided yet? You only get one chance. Hand over the system or you're taking the fall." Facing Oliver's threat, I wasn't scared. Instead, I smiled slyly and pointed behind him. "Oh really? Maybe you should ask Tiffany if she's on board with that." Oliver paused, then scoffed, "Don't think I can't tell you're bluffing. Quit messing around. Just hand over the security system or else I'll—" But before Oliver could finish, a sharp fruit knife was at his back. It was Tiffany, her eyes red with tears. "Oliver, why would you betray me?" Her voice trembled with disbelief and sorrow. Oliver froze, mechanically turning his head. He never expected Tiffany to be there. "Tiffany, let me explain. It's not what you think," he hurriedly defended, his eyes panicking and cold sweat dripping from his forehead. "It was all Lucas's doing. If I didn't agree, I'd be killed." His voice was frantic, but weak and unconvincing. Tiffany stared at the man she once loved deeply, her heart aching. All their past vows seemed so ridiculous now. She closed her eyes, letting the tears fall. "Oliver, you disgust me." Tiffany's eyes were swollen, tears falling like broken pearls down her pale cheeks. When have I ever been bad to you? I gave up Lucas, the company, even my family for you. What more do you want? Seeing his act fall apart, Oliver suddenly laughed coldly, eyes filled with mockery. Stop pretending, Tiffany. Your so-called love is just a deal. You need me to keep the company steady, and I need your money and resources. We're both getting what we want. Why act so noble? Tiffany's heart felt like it was squeezed by an invisible hand, the pain making it hard to breathe. She never expected the man she loved truthfully to say such heartless words. Oliver, you've really changed, she murmured in disbelief and sadness. Changed? I never changed, Oliver interrupted harshly, a fierce look in his eyes. I've always wanted just one thing, money. Lots of it. As for you, Tiffany, you're of no use now. While Tiffany was distracted, Oliver suddenly grabbed the fruit knife, aiming for her chest. Don't think I don't know that you've always looked down on me. You were just pitying me, giving me charity. I don't need your pity. Die. The knife gleamed coldly, threatening Tiffany's heart. Just in time, several figures dashed in and tackled Oliver to the ground. It was the police I had called beforehand, coming to the rescue. Cold handcuffs locked onto Oliver's struggling hands. Tiffany, you won't have a peaceful death. All you rich people deserve to go to hell. Oliver's hysterical screams echoed through the room. Yet they couldn't mask his own fear and desperation. After leaving the police station, ready to head home, Tiffany suddenly appeared, blocking my path. She looked worn out, her once radiant face streaked with tears. Lucas, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. Please, forgive me, she pleaded, her voice choked and raspy. But I looked at her expressionlessly, feeling nothing inside. We're already divorced, nothing more to say. Upon hearing this, Tiffany wept, grasping my hand. No, Lucas, we still have feelings. Don't we? After all these years, are you really willing to just let it go? I coldly chuckled and pulled my hand away. Feelings? Tiffany, you have the nerve to talk about feelings. When Oliver framed me, where were you? Why didn't you stand up for me? Now you're down and out, you remember I'm good? Isn't it too late? Tiffany collapsed, tears blurring her vision. Lucas, I know I was wrong. I truly know. Please, give me another chance. I won't want anything. I'll listen to everything you say. I won't betray you again. But her begging only sickened me. Tiffany, there's no future for us. Take care of yourself. I gave her a disgusted look and walked away. Her cries grew faint and eventually vanished in the wind. After this, Oliver eventually got sentenced. 30 whole years went by, and Tiffany ended up shouldering most of the debt for breaching the contract. The company was forced into bankruptcy. Adding to that, someone edited footage maliciously and spread false info, which led to people online spreading rumors about me. I even ended up with a criminal record and had to do 6 months. When the judge read the verdict, I sat there in the gallery feeling nothing. After leaving the courthouse, I took a deep breath, savoring the long-lost taste of freedom. In the years that followed, I started my own company. I gathered a team of like-minded folks, and we worked day and night. With the patents we owned, the company grew rapidly, becoming more successful by the day. Before long, my company became a leader in the industry. My name started being synonymous with efficiency and quality. As for Tiffany, I haven't heard a thing about her. Maybe she's still dealing with her mistakes, but that's none of my business now. I've moved on to new goals and adventures.